For the second part of your merit criteria, you need to compare and contrast, so use the words whereas and similar, or however, or different, those kind of words, for your two published media. Now I'm going to talk about two comics, Batman versus maybe something that's new, a comic that appears on an iPad that's interactive using an augmented reality kind of app. However, if you've done two different publications, maybe for a sporting event or a pamphlet or a brochure or a magazine, that's fine. Yours is going to be different from mine, and that's okay. I'm just going to talk through what I would write for mine, and maybe you can do something similar for yours. So I'm going to compare two comics, Batman or Wonder Woman, a comic from the past, so I'm going to explain what I'm going to compare, against something called Masters of the Sun, the Zombie Chronicles, which is an app that's available as a comic, an interactive comic, so you can click on various different characters and various different frames within the comic, and you get animation and sound. So it's a more interactive one rather than a printed comic from the past. The Zombie Chronicles gives a social message. So it's about not involving yourself in gangs or antisocial behaviour, whereas something like Batman and Wonder Woman is a bit more escapism. I suppose they're both escapism in a way because they're comic and fictional characters, but Batman is a little bit more traditional. So what can I say? Well, both comics are for entertainment, so I can say they're similar because they're both for entertainment. Batman and Wonder Woman is for pure entertainment. In other words, that's the only purpose of it, whereas something like Master of the Sun carries a social message about the dangers of drugs, about the dangers of antisocial behaviour, about the dangers of being involved in gangs. Batman and Wonder Woman are more traditionally printed, so they're produced as a comic, a physical comic that you sit and read, whereas the purpose of Masters of the Sun is that it's more innovative, it's a little bit new, it's a little bit different, and uses an app on a mobile phone or a tablet and brings a bit more escapism to life on the screen. So it's interactive, it means you can click on things and things happen on screen. It's also got narration, so it's got a storyteller, it's got various different people talking it through and playing the different characters, and it's also got music and animation as well. It's experimental. It was produced by will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas, and it's a little bit new. Whether it'll work and catch on, I don't know, but it may lead to more comics of this type in the future for people that want to use mobile phones and tablets to access this kind of media rather than a printed version. What about the audience then next? So they're similar in that comics tend to be for a teenage audience. So both Batman, Wonder Woman and then Masters of the Sun are similar for a similar kind of age group. Boys and girls, male and female, but tend to be from the ages sort of 10 up to 20. However, the Zombie Chronicles, because you're going to need a mobile phone or a tablet, possibly with some data on it, might engage with slightly older people compared to an original comic because you need technology to be able to run it. It's more expensive. I think it retails at about £12 to £15, so that's another factor. Providing data on your phone is again can be expensive, or you'll need a contract to provide data on your phone. So again, it's going to link to a slightly older teenage audience. It also carries a social message about the dangers of drugs and antisocial behaviour, so again that's aimed at older teenagers and young adults. Pre-production, what's the same? Well, again, the initial ideas will be produced on storyboard. So both ideas will either have hand-drawn storyboards, or maybe nowadays they'll use CGI software to produce the storyboards as well. But both of them are produced pre-production prior to the actual animation being made, use storyboards, so they're similar in that respect. However, Masters of the Sun is a little bit more complicated because it involves an app. You're going to need some software developers involved to be able to produce the app, and also you're going to have people to write scripts, and the scripts might be more complicated because you're providing not just storyboards and simple words for a comic that's produced on paper. The scripts are going to be more complicated because people are going to be reading them. There's going to be some kind of narration. In terms of production, how they're made, well, they're similar in that they're going to take an idea from the storyboard and produce some kind of hand-drawn comic. Even Masters of the Sun will produce a hand-drawn version before then it's digitized and made into a digital app. Zombie Chronicles, however, takes the stage further because inside the graphics, so they're going to be computer-generated graphics, there's something called QR codes. So you can click on them, or on the there's a printed version as well, and you can use a QR code reader on your phone to hover over the printed version, and then it comes to life on your tablet or phone. So it's printed, but it also links into your phone as well. So a little bit more complicated in terms of Zombie Chronicles Masters of the Sun, where there's some software development, some animation, some narration to be built in by people speaking and recording the narration and the sound and the voices. Post-production, well, these are very different. I suppose both comics are produced as a published physical hard copy of something, so it's going to be produced in print, but Batman or Wonder Woman finish there, so it's going to be distributed and sent to the shops, or maybe through Amazon Marketplace, or somewhere where you can buy it online or in shops, and that's the end of that in terms of the comic. Whereas Masters of the Sun will be distributed via the app as well, which links to the publication, so you're going to have to buy the app on the from the App Store or Android Store, depending on what kind of phone or tablet you've got. Download the app, and then that links to the codes that are built into the physical comic that you'd actually buy as well.